The Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought stepped into the spotlight on Sunday, June 1, 2025. He came out swinging in defense of President Trump's massive domestic policy proposal. This Megabill, as it's being called, has sparked significant worry. Many fear it represents a direct assault on the nation's social safety net. Vought, however, dismissed these concerns outright. He labeled them totally ridiculous and mere astroturf. He insisted the legislation is designed to preserve and protect vital programs. Vought claimed the bill would simply make these programs much more common sense, a phrase that often precedes significant overhauls and cuts to services. During an appearance on CNN's State of the Union, Vought made a bold declaration. He stated unequivocally that no one will lose coverage as a result of this bill. This assurance aims to soothe anxieties about the bill's impact, particularly on Medicaid recipients. It is a strong claim, especially given the bill's ambitious scope. It's also worth noting that this stance echoes a previous promise from President Trump himself. Back in April 2025, the president had insisted that there would be absolutely no cuts made to the Medicaid program under his administration's plans, setting a high bar for his policy team to meet. However, a significant shadow looms over Vaught's confident assertions. The Congressional Budget Office, the nonpartisan scorekeeper for Congress, released a report in May 2025. This CBO report painted a starkly different picture of the Megabill's potential consequences. It estimated that a staggering 10.3 million people could, in fact, lose their health coverage if the Medicaid portions of the bill are enacted as written. This projection directly contradicts the optimistic scenarios presented by both Director Vought and President Trump. The discrepancy raises serious questions about the true impact of the proposed legislation on vulnerable populations across the country. Vought attempted to justify the proposed changes by pointing to alleged problems within the current Medicaid system. He argued that the bill addresses what he termed significant inefficiencies. Specifically, Vought claimed that 1 out of every $5 or $6 in Medicaid is improper, suggesting widespread waste or fraud. He also asserted that illegal immigrants are on the program, a contentious claim often used to argue for stricter controls. Furthermore, he targeted able-bodied working adults on Medicaid, stating they don't have a work requirement, implying this is a loophole the bill aims to close, despite numerous studies on the complexities of such requirements. Despite Director Vaught's outward confidence about the bill's prospects, there are clear signs of unease within the Republican Party itself. He predicted that Republican senators will ultimately rally behind the legislation. He stated, "I think at the end of the day, the Senate will have a resounding vote in favor of a substantially similar bill." Yet this optimism clashes with the reality on Capitol Hill. The Megabill only managed to pass the House of Representatives by a razor-thin margin of a single vote in May 2025. This narrow victory in the lower chamber hardly signals a smooth path forward in the Senate, where margins are equally tight. Several key Republican senators have already voiced significant discomfort with the potential Medicaid cuts embedded in the Megabill. Senators Josh Hawley of Missouri, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and Susan Collins of Maine have all signaled they are not on board. Their concerns focus specifically on the impact these changes could have on their constituents who rely on Medicaid. These senators represent states with unique healthcare challenges. Their potential opposition could prove fatal to the bill's chances. The White House and Senate leadership will need to undertake considerable efforts to bring these wavering members into the fold if the bill is to survive. Adding to the complexity is a real-world example from Georgia, highlighted by Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock. Speaking on NBC's Meet the Press on June 1, 2025, Warnock criticized the proposed Medicaid changes. He pointed to Georgia's own Pathways to Coverage initiative as a cautionary tale. This program is currently the only state-level Medicaid work requirement in operation. Its performance has been underwhelming, to say the least. Warnock used this example to argue against the efficacy and wisdom of implementing similar work requirements on a national scale as proposed in the Megabill. The data from Georgia's experiment is indeed sobering. In its first 18 months, the Pathways to Coverage initiative enrolled fewer than 7,000 people. This figure fell drastically short of the state's initial expectations and projections. Furthermore, the program incurred high administrative costs, raising questions about its cost-effectiveness and overall benefit. Senator Warnock argued that providing basic healthcare access is fundamental to enabling people to find and maintain employment. He warned that the Megabill, with its proposed cuts and restrictions, would likely lead to a sicker and poorer workforce, undermining rather than bolstering economic stability for many Americans. Beyond the immediate concerns about healthcare coverage, the Megabill has ignited a fierce debate over its fiscal implications. OMB Director Russ Vought on June 1, 2025, presented an optimistic financial outlook. He asserted that the bill lowers the deficit by $1.4 trillion. Furthermore, he claimed it does not increase the deficit in any way, nor does it negatively impact the national debt. This portrayal positions the bill as a fiscally responsible measure. Vaught's statements were a direct rebuttal to a growing chorus of critics who fear the legislation could exacerbate the nation's existing financial challenges, particularly concerning government spending. However, not everyone within the Republican Party shares Vaught's rosy assessment. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, a notable deficit hawk, has been particularly vocal in his criticism. In May 2025, Johnson dramatically referred to the bill as the Titanic when discussing its potential impact on the national debt. He expressed profound concern that the legislation, far from reducing the deficit, could lead to a significant increase in government borrowing. Senator Johnson also claimed to have enough allies within the Senate to block the bill if it does not include what he deems sufficient spending reductions, signaling a serious intra-party battle over fiscal policy. The skepticism extends beyond the halls of Congress. Elon Musk, the prominent entrepreneur, also weighed in on the matter. In an interview with CBS, Musk stated his belief that the bill would, in fact, increase the deficit. His comments add a high-profile, non-political voice to the chorus of concern. This kind of public doubt from influential figures can sway public opinion and potentially influence lawmakers who are on the fence. The differing opinions highlight the complexity of forecasting the economic impacts of such a sweeping piece of legislation, with significant disagreements even among those generally aligned on policy. At the heart of this debate lies a fundamental disagreement about economic projections and fiscal priorities. The administration, through Director Vought, presents a scenario where the bill leads to substantial savings and fiscal health. Conversely, critics, including members of the president's own party and external commentators, foresee a future of increased debt and financial strain. Reconciling these vastly different outlooks is a monumental task. The core question remains whether the proposed efficiencies and cuts will genuinely materialize to the extent the administration claims, or if the bill will ultimately add to the nation's financial burdens, a concern that resonates deeply with many fiscal conservatives. OMB Director Russ Vought remains publicly confident about the Megabill's journey through the Senate. He predicted a resounding vote in favor of a substantially similar bill. He also mentioned ongoing efforts, stating, "We continue to work with people in the Senate as to working them through the specifics of the bill." This suggests the White House is actively engaged in negotiations. They are likely trying to address the concerns of skeptical senators and secure the necessary votes. However, the narrow victory in the House suggests that even minor adjustments might not be enough to satisfy all factions within the Republican conference in the upper chamber. The challenge posed by dissenting Republican senators like Josh Hawley, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Ron Johnson cannot be understated. Given the slim Republican majority in the Senate, or potentially a situation requiring bipartisan support that seems unlikely for this bill, the opposition of even a few Republicans could derail the entire legislative effort. The single-vote margin in the House serves as a stark reminder of the bill's precarious position. Each senator's vote will be critical, and the concerns they have raised, ranging from Medicaid cuts to deficit impacts, are substantial hurdles for the bill's proponents to overcome. The outcome of this legislative battle will have implications far beyond the Megabill itself. It will serve as a significant test of Republican alignment with the White House. If the bill struggles significantly or ultimately fails, it could signal a weakening of President Trump's influence over his party in Congress. Alternatively, it might indicate a growing assertiveness from congressional Republicans, particularly on matters of fiscal policy and the scope of the social safety net. Russ Vaught's own background as a chief architect of the Project 2025 initiative underscores the ideological stakes involved, as this bill may reflect broader long-term conservative policy goals. Ultimately, the Senate vote on this megabill is freighted with high stakes. It is not merely a decision on a complex piece of legislation. It represents a crucial juncture for the direction of American social policy, the nation's approach to fiscal responsibility, and the internal power dynamics of the Republican Party. The debate encapsulates fundamental disagreements about the role of government and its obligations to its citizens. The way senators, particularly Republicans, navigate these pressures and cast their votes will be telling, shaping the political landscape for months and potentially years to come as the nation watches closely.